So this is the dirt mesh as we left it, and this is the starting cop dirt I created. So basically nothing crazy inside. I'm just using some noise like on the vase. I'm distorting the result and adding more layer of noise here. So this is basically my base noise. Then using the ambient occlusion, just like on the vase with the proper remapping, I'm just creating some interesting, RGB ramp. And I also passing it to this RGBA, which includes the alpha, for a reason that I will show you right now, because this basically is the base dirt, but we want to scatter some stones on it. So put yourself down here and let's take another SDF shape. This time we want a circle, and let's say like this. And as you can see, it has a sides ref. We want to take a layer, and let me set this also to 2K to establish some sides. We want to set it as 256 and 256. We don't need that much of a large shape because it will be very small. We want to scatter a large amount on the dirt. So this will be plugged on the sides ref, and this now is 256 by 256. Also, we want to half these sides to 0.5 and then SDF to mono, so we get a black and white image. Then we want to transform to this guy. Basically, we want to create 4 copy of it, so we have 4 different stone to scatter. So here we want to set the translation to 0.5 and 0.5, and also half the scale, so 0.5 and 0.5, and we do have something like this. Then we want to distort this a little bit, so let's take distort by slope, plug the source, let's take a fractal noise, and for the noise let's crank up the amplitude, so let's say something like this. We want to increase to 0.4, even 5 the element size, lower the roughness a very good bit to 0.18, and let's see what we have on the distort. Here we need to increase the sides, let's set it to 0.16, but lower the angle a little bit, so something like 30. Then before using these 4 shapes in stamp, we need to give it some color. So let's copy this layer and take a constant. So here it will go in the source, and we want half the size this time, 128, and it will soon be clear why. And I will quickly choose 4 color. I need 4 copies of this constant. So I have these 4 values, which to me are some good colors for stones. Now I want to create a contact sheet with those. So we need to plug all those constant inside. And if we display this guy, we don't want 4 images per line, we want 2. So basically we have this, and since it's 2 per line, and we set this as 128, here we have a 256 square with 4 different colors. So now we want to multiply these 2 guys together. So the distort will be the background, and this will be the foreground. And we want to set it to multiply, so we do have this. And this needs to go into a RGB to RGBA because we need the alpha. So this will go into the RGB channel, and we want to take the alpha from the distort too, so this. And now you can see that here we have the alpha channel also. So now basically we want to scatter using a scatter shape, this guy, but if we plug it as it is in the stamps node, it will scatter the whole contact sheet, so to speak. So first let's take a crop node. This is the source, and we want to crop 0 and 0 here for the first one. So we do have just one stone, and we want to duplicate it and basically crop each stone in a different crop node. So 0, 0, 1, 1 for the second, -1, -1, 0, 0 for the third one, and 0, -1, 1, 0 for the last one. But the stamp input is a single one, so we need to take a cable pack, which is a new thing, I believe, in the latest edition of Copernicus, and it will allow us to pack all of these. And here on the crop, we actually need to state discard and reframe the crop. So select all of those and set it like this. So in the crop, the new content will be centered. So from the cable pack, let's plug to the shape scatter. And if we display it, we do have something like this. We have a terrible resolution because by default is taking, I don't know why, the correct resolution, but with sort of this one, which is the 256 and 256. So if we take a layer node and set it as the size ref, here we can set it back to 250k, I mean 2k, and we have this resolution back. And as you can see here, hasn't changed, but it's like we are sampling more pixel, something like that. And on the shape scatter, we want to scatter, let's say 200 of those. You can change the seed, and we want to use the image as the stamp scaling. So we want to change these two variants, and we want to make it very small. So let's say 0.06 as the image scale and 0.25 of variance. Also, we want to jitter this particle a lot, these stones a lot, sorry. So let's set it to maybe 1, and also randomize the angle all the way up. So we do have something like this. Then on the color and bleeding, I want to depth sort the layer because we want to use it also for the height and stuff. And finally, I want to use some density map because right now they are scattered in a uniform way, so to speak. And that's why from my base noise, I'm outputting something like this, which is a lighter version of the base noise. And I want to plug this into the density. So very subtle, but you can see that right now it is breaking up the distribution. So to mix it with the base texture, as far as the base color, we want to use a blend node, and we can use the over mode in this case because we do have an alpha layer. So if we take the output of the shape scatter, we do have something like this. And this needs to go in the RGB2A, and I'm not entirely sure why I did it with this. This is not needed, probably. We will recreate it just in case, but we are good with the color map, so let's check the geometry. Yes, and we also want to add it to the other map. So for the roughness, let's take RGB to mono, so we can take the result of the shape and convert it to a black and white image, something like this. We want to remap it, so we can take only the lighter value, decreasing the input mean. So let's say 0.06. We want to invert those values. So where the rocks are, it will be more reflective than the dirt. And we want to blend it with what is going inside the roughness. So this is basically our base roughness, very, very rough. And we want to mix it with this new invert node. So we will have something like this. This is way too much. We want like 0.1. And this will go into the roughness. We still need to fix the height and the normal, but we should be able to see some difference. Maybe not. Let's add it to the height and the normal. And speaking of which, as you can see here, I'm using also the height channel. This is nothing more than a black and white map before it goes into the normal. So I'm using the height map for the dirt and for the base trunk. And to add it both to the normal and to the height, we just need to add it to the basically the height. So we will use the same RGB2 mono we got over here for the roughness, but we want to blur it a little bit. Let's say 0.002, and we want to blend it with whatever it goes into the height null. So this will be our foreground like this. And this time, since we have some lighter value, we want to add, where is it? And add just a little bit, so 0.1. So if we plug it here on the height, it will be updated also on the normal. And we do have our stones correctly applied on the texture.